even I have those moments of phantom vibrations in the pocket, even if I don't have my phone.
At what point did my brain get so cued in to a sound of a vibration that even when it's not present, I'm hearing vibrations? That's a problem. We don't remember how to engage in real life anymore because we're becoming so connected to the scroll and disconnected from life that our psychology is actually changing. I am having deeper conversations with my AI than I am with my partner. There are signs. And when you notice the signs, it is an opportunity for you to choose something different. Hey, Heart Leader community, if you're liking this video, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. Have you ever been at a retreat? You've gone, you've planned, you're so psyched up to go, and you get there and they say, first thing, all of your devices have to go. And then that feeling of excitement suddenly turns to, what do you mean? I can't have my phone. I can't have my laptop. How am I supposed to survive? Right? And they do it for a reason. Of course, you can't spiritually go inward if all of your focus is out in cyberland. But there is all of a sudden this anxious feeling that starts to happen inside of, how am I supposed to let people know how I'm doing? How am I supposed to take my selfies and ussies with all of the people that I'm meeting if I don't have my cell phone? And then I learned that there is a professor who actually coined a term for what this is called Nomophobia. And of course, I thought we have to dive into this one. So I want to go on that journey of Nomophobia.
Yeah, we need to be in all the presents, not all the Twitters.
X. It's all the X-spheres now.
This is a really, really fascinating concept when you brought it forward to me. Nomophobia. I thought you were in some ways making a joke. But as you described it more, I can understand where it's coming from. Because I mean, even I have those moments of phantom vibrations in the pocket, even if I don't have my phone, and it could be quick. Maybe I just left it on my desk when I went to go walk or take out the garbage or something. I'm like, oh, someone's going, and then I don't even have my phone on me. And so, it's amazing how much we've trained ourselves to be so, locked in the hip with these things. I mean, literally, it's and even noticing just the other day, I was driving and someone was walking by and they were talking, and looked like they were talking to themselves, but then I quickly looked, they had, their earbuds in and all that. And so, with their phone, so it was hands-free, they were carrying a bunch of stuff, but they were just talking. So it's just a different experience. And since the mobile phones actually haven't been around that long in a relative terms. Right. And so
I remember people carrying them in suitcases, right? That was so cool. Like, not even that long ago, but yeah.
No, I mean, even when I was in high school getting a Nokia phone, it felt amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so new. And it's that brick of a thing. I mean, you could throw it and nothing's happened to it. So we've definitely lost that awesomeness because one little drop and just, your screen cracks and it's all over the place. But I mean, just our relationship with these devices has really, really changed our approach to life. And so, as kind of, I think intentionally, the name is kind of seems a little bit funny, like no mobile, right? And the phobia of not having your mobile. There's a little bit of a jest to it, if you will. But there's a really deep cause and effect here. that I'm actually really excited to dive into with you today.
I love it. And what we will do, I will make sure that in the show notes, wherever somebody is listening to this, that we put the link that includes the professor and all the details around the psychology behind what this is, because the article is fascinating. It is really fascinating. But to dive into it, what he's talking about is how we have become so dependent on our mobile devices. It doesn't even have to be your phone, right? Your tablet, any of these things that you carry around with you, that it's almost become like an addiction in and of itself. So when we do go to these spiritual retreats or these centers where we are seeking to unplug, it's very much like the experience I was just talking about, where we don't even get the full experience of the spiritual shutdown or the go within, because we're fighting withdrawal symptoms, actual withdrawal symptoms from our mobile devices. We have phobias around not being connected to the rest of the world, or what we perceive as the rest of the world, because we don't have those devices. Then we start going through withdrawal symptoms, physical withdrawal symptoms, phantom vibrations, as you just talked about. I personally went through it when I have not had my device too. It suddenly is somebody else's phone that I'm hearing going off my phone, or there could be no phone anywhere in the area, and I'm hearing the vibration that I think is my own vibration. And you're just, how did that happen? At what point did my brain get so cued in to a sound of a vibration that even when it's not present, I'm hearing vibrations? That's a problem. And that is a dependency of some sort. So you have to take that into consideration. Then there's the FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, that you go through when you're in a situation like that too, and you don't have your devices. What is everybody else doing? What am I missing out on in all of the other spheres, whether that's the or Twitter sphere or whatever it is that we're talking about? We feel like we're missing out. Or if I'm not posting, are people wondering about me? Let me tell you, most people are not wondering about you. They're on to the next scroll, right? Not that they don't care, but we are so entrained in the scroll now that it's whatever's in front of us. So that is the other part of what he was talking about, is how entrained we're getting in the scroll, that we're spending so much of our time scrolling and so little of our time being connected to what's actually happening in life around us. So we go to these retreats or these places and we're engaging in real life, but we don't remember how to engage in real life anymore, because we're becoming so connected to the scroll and disconnected from life that our psychology is actually changing. And it's making it harder to be connected to one another in a way that isn't the behavior of the scroll. So we want these connections to be quick too. Now, why is it not as fast as the video I just watched? That's also an issue. Because to get into a deep connected conversation, it's not going to be 30 seconds or 60 seconds, right?
Nor are all the pauses and all those things that are sifted out with every one of these shorts. There's a reason why it's a quick pace, is because it's not natural. It's edited.
And in full transparency, even these podcasts that people are listening to, our podcasts are edited and sped up a little bit to keep tempo and pace. So if you meet us in person, I guarantee we're talking to you a little bit slower than what you're hearing us in these podcasts.
Very slow.
We're not going to be that slow. But we're also a little bit paced up, but that's for purpose. And when we think about nomophobia, it's real. At first, I wanted to laugh at it and be, oh, are you serious? There's another phobia. There's one more thing we have to think about. Come on. But then I started really examining and mirroring it into my own experience, going to these retreats that mean so much to me and where I've experienced profound personal development. And it's true. For the first few days, I find myself digitally detoxing. And it's incredible, the dependency I've created on my devices.
And it just kind of begs the question, why do we place this unattainable perception that we have to have our digital presence be constant? We don't even put that expectation on ourselves for our actual life. Like, we always have to be on. I've struggled with that, as a personal thing, where I always felt like I just had to be on. I had to be at my best and all the time. And, if I wasn't, then something was wrong with me. And then someone would think terribly of me. And that's a thing, that's a struggle I'm sure a lot of people have dealt with. But then when you add a digital presence on top of that, it's just expediting the pain in a lot of ways. And it's enhancing the pain, because now you have this pressure in real life, but you also have this pressure on your digital life. And then they almost become bifurcated in some way, because, and you almost we almost get in this habit of releasing our physical life and just focusing only on our digital life, and then creating this separation of ourselves. And that's a huge, huge issue that that I feel like this nomophobia is in some ways highlighting this unintentional illusion of separation that we're creating within ourselves.
Then the question, we know why it matters. Why it matters? Why does having a term like nomophobia matter? It matters because it helps us name and identify what is occurring. For me to be able to say, look, I know I'm having these experiences. And it's easy for me to just rationalize it off and get rid of it and say, well, of course it's going to happen. I'm in a world that's rapidly changing and I need my devices. That's why I go to these retreats, so I can detox. But when you have someone who steps forward and says, look, it's not normal. It is something that is a byproduct of the world that we're moving into. And we have an opportunity right now to name it and to do something about it with mindfulness and choice. Then that makes me stop and go, whoa, wait a second. He's right. He's right. This is an opportunity for us to say, or at least to me, he's right. We can all make our own choice. But to me, he's right. Because it is my choice to either say, I'm just part of a system, and this is an outcome of the system I'm part of. Or I can say, yes, this is part of what is occurring in our system, but I can choose how I show up in that system. And I choose to, instead of having to do a detox by going to a retreat and spending my whole retreat detoxing, I will detox every day and begin to understand that this is just like any other substance in my life. And if I treat it as such, then I get to determine how it comes into my form and how I utilize it. So if I were treating it just like sugar or alcohol or anything else, I would do so in moderation. I would detox from it so that I am the one directing the flow into how it comes into my space and how I purge it out. So why am I not doing that? Why am I not being more mindful so that I don't have to do it all at once and literally have withdrawal symptoms?
It makes a lot of sense. I think that's a really good way to put it, and I believe you were kind of sharing with me the idea of we fast with our bodies, right? So why don't we fast? We can do intermittent fasting with with our digital, with our digital devices or our mobile specifically. I don't really use the word mobile though. That's but
Be
our cell
proper
phones.
British.
Yeah,
Come on.
mobile. No, that's really bad British.
That was so bad.
So bad.
Sorry for everyone who's British and listeing to this.
That was just really bad. This is why I'm not an actor. It's the having our cell phones and just being able to just make a little bit of a change. If there's maybe during breakfast in the morning, or whether it's breakfast or maybe right when you wake up, do you need to immediately look at your phone, or can you set a new routine for yourself first thing that's a little bit more focused on yourself, not from a selfish standpoint but from a self-love standpoint, of focus on you instead of saying what's going on the phone, or during lunch, or maybe even during dinner. Maybe you just set your phone aside and you have dinner with your loved ones or your family or something like that, or your friends, and you just get that quality time, maybe from 30 minutes to an hour or something like that. Or as you were saying, even if you just need to take 15 minutes and you just need to go and just go read for a little bit, or just meditate or relax, where you meditate without your phone. You don't need an app. Maybe you can just sit in presence and relax. And so there are so many different ways we can do it. And so that's why I love this idea of kind of these micro adjustments throughout the day, so that it can support us on a greater basis. This is highly utilized when it comes to food, when it comes to working out, all these physical approaches, or addictions, is kind of what we were talking about. Is there a great way to make micro adjustments and habits to better our lives? And so why wouldn't it be used in this way?
I know personally, when I was adjusting my approach to food, it was key for me. I did some things very radically and I just changed it all at once. And then other things I had to change in small increments. And this is another one where the moment I realized this was another aspect of my life that could use radical change. It is one where, okay, there are some spaces where I need to make radical adjustments. Waking up every morning and making my phone my first priority instead of us my first priority, that's a radical change. That meant there was an addiction and it wasn't the best one, right? So that's a radical change that needed to stop. Cold turkey, right? That's a thing. Cut it cold turkey. It's fine that I need to turn my alarm off on my phone, but after that, it shouldn't be what emails do I need to check? What do I need to do with Wearables? It should
scrolling,
be
social media scrolling, any of that kind of stuff.
Any of that. It should be, how do I connect with you? And how do we start our day with the purest love possible? Because that's what sets the tone for my day. And that was the question I had to ask myself. How do I truly desire to set the tone for my day? Then it's micro adjustments, right? It's really hard when you're running an organization the size of Wearables to just step away from your device for long periods of time, because there's a lot of people that we are in service of and that we support. But that doesn't mean we can't make micro adjustments where we do take dinner, and dinner is just for us. And that is our connection time. And we both agree it is a deviceless time where we are not multitasking and having our phones and having our computers, and unless there's a real reason, and then we discuss that, right? But we can make those micro adjustments. Or if we're going away for a weekend together, can we determine specific times that we will check in and have heart-centered check-ins where we have predetermined when we're going to check in, how we're going to check in. And that's the time that we do it. Outside of those times, unless it's an emergency because our family has reached out, it is heart-centered check-ins with each other. And that's our time, and we know it. Otherwise, it is so easy to get caught up, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And I really appreciate that you just provided a lot of practicality, because the first thing, I know I would think is, well, how am I supposed to not look at my phone if that's my alarm? Right.
Yeah.
And so, but we do, it's because it's accessible. It's already in our hands. We're already turning off the alarm. There's this mindless, easy jump into scrolling. And so that's going to be the hardest part in that process, and the practicality of, okay, you can turn off the alarm and then just put it back down again. Mm-hmm. And just, whether you sit and do some breath exercises, or you just relax, or you give gratitude, or, you cuddle, whatever is your thing. There's 1,000 ways to start the morning. You can do push-ups. You can, get out of whatever it is. You need to take a shower, or brush your teeth, whatever your morning routine is. It doesn't have to be fully directed by a cell phone. There are plenty of ways. Humanity has lived a lot of mornings throughout thousands, or even tens of thousands, or or even talking about hundreds of thousands of years. We're still learning on that, of how long humanity's actually been around. Whole other topic, but yeah, it's a lot of mornings where cell phones weren't a part of that process. So we can survive. We can make it happen.
It's amazing.
It doesn't have to be for that, so even if it's just for a couple of minutes, just to set the tone for the day. But if that's not your time, that's okay too. Let's say if you genuinely need that time to be on your phone, okay, that doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make you, it may or may not make you addicted, even in that standpoint. As long as you can have direction over other parts of your day where you can just create that specific time for yourself where you can step away, then you're actually in direction. You're in a good relationship with that. Then you understand the clarity and the purpose and the intention behind it. And like you just said, when you actually take vacation, take time away. Maybe you want to use your phone to take photos and really enjoy the experience. I get that. To me, that's not quite the same thing as doom scrolling.
To music.
Yeah, or listen to music. Doom scrolling on your phone is not getting you anywhere. Taking some photos because you're in the moment and you want to capture that, that's about being present. That's a very, very different relationship with the phone.
I will say, though, I've observed there's a difference between only taking photos and then walking away. Living in the area that we live in, we have the Grand Canyon, we have Sedona, we have all these beautiful sites. And I can't count the number of times we've been to these beautiful places, and we've watched so many people walk up to these awe-inspiring views, and they take 1,000,001 selfies and ussies and just photo after photo, and then they turn around and they walk away instead of standing there and being present with this beautiful nature that they are with. They may never get to come back to that again. And they have the photo, which is beautiful, but they don't have the memory. And so if I can encourage at all, if you get an opportunity to be in some beautiful aspect of nature, definitely capture the photo, but also capture the memory. Because who knows how frequently you'll be there. So soak it in. Soak it in. Yeah, those memories matter. They're what we take with it. Well, not telling somebody what to believe, clearly, but I would offer the memories are the photos we take with us, right? If we believe that. So don't miss the moments to take those with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like this is such an important topic in so many ways because cell phones and these devices have become such an integrated part of our lives. And honestly, it's only heading more with AI, with the way that it's being utilized. It is, there's no getting around it. And in some ways, it's going to be so convenient to be able to, I was just listening to a podcast yesterday where someone was talking about the idea of a web browser. We're so used to going to Google or or Safari or whatever it is, just start using, and that's how you initiate your experience on the web. Well, the idea that a web browser probably in the next 5 years is going to be obsolete because with AI, you don't need to go to an interface. It's directed, whether it's through your phone or through an AR glass or something like that. It's going to be. There's even little pins that have AI in it now that just either wearables basically.
Yeah.
So it's going to be so prevalent. So for us to be able to be aware of our direction over these things, so that they don't control us, and it's important to have our autonomy, to remind ourselves of our empowerment, and that these are tools, and they can be used to really support us. It doesn't have to be an evil thing. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. It's how we interact with it that determines the experience that we have with it. And so when we can have quality understanding, quality habits, and quality purpose, quality intention behind why we're using these things, and that we are in direction and we can make that choice, well, that's super empowering. And then the convenience only enhances our ability to interact with the world at the capacity that we desire to.
Live our life with technology, not through it.
Boom.
Right?
Mic drop.
And it's like razor's edge. That's the thing. But when you can be mindful enough to walk that razor's edge, and you consistently pull back and ask yourself, where am I? And what am I doing with technology right now that's in service of my purpose and what I desire? Then you're directing. But if you are allowing it to determine your behavior, then you're starting to tip off to the other side of that edge. Right? And it's so easy to do. We all, even the most mindful people, I can tell you, it doesn't matter how mindful you are. Things get busy. And unless you are without technology at all, it's super easy to really start to flow into how technology can do things for you. And you need to have those check-ins on a regular basis and ask yourself, okay, have I become overly dependent or overly, I don't even want to say it is addicted. Have I become overly addicted on technology to the point where there's phantom buzzing happening, or I'm constantly wondering what is going on, or I'm constantly scrolling, or I'm having deeper conversations with my AI than I am with my partner. There are signs. And when you notice the signs, it is an opportunity for you to choose something different. Right.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love that we're really talking about enhancement because, the irony is that most people are going to be listening to this podcast through a device, and so, but again, it's if this podcast specifically or podcasts like it are there to support you in utilizing it and creating a healthy relationship with it, just like a nutritionist is there to help you create a healthy relationship with food to support you and nourish you for the rest of your life. I mean, there's so many ways, just like a business coach can help you understand how to create a really quality relationship with work and finding that harmony in life between work and life and balance, family, and all that. So yeah, I mean, it is funny, but it's also
the irony is not lost on
us by any means. But that's why we're having these conversations, because we even caught ourselves in this, and that's why we talk about these things, is because it's when they come up and we hear them, we're like, is this something we're struggling with? Is this something that we found ourselves in? And most of the time, probably, yeah, because we're human and we don't have all the answers, but we're willing to experiment. And that's one thing I love about what we do on a regular basis. We're willing to test things out. Not everything works. Not everything is the right fit. I mean, things that we found when we've seen that other podcasts and it's great. And they're like, hey, this really works. And I'm glad it worked for them.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me. And some of the things, hopefully not a lot of things, but maybe some of the things that we say, that might be the case for our listeners as well. But we really, really hope that what we're bringing forward is whether it is or isn't the very thing that we're bringing forward to help you. It's the idea that is to get you started in some way and to kind of pull you out of the pattern, provide a pattern interrupt, pull you out of whatever habit isn't helping you and learn what is. And sometimes we have to know what that is by knowing what it isn't. The opposite. We can realize, oh, that doesn't work. Well, that's great, because that can help you get closer to what does work.
Yeah, exactly. And the fun to me is when you can have words like nomophobia. I mean, come on. It's just fun anyway. It was the whole thing that drew me in when I saw it. I'm like, really? And then you get there and you're like, oh, wow, there's some truth to that for me. And so we can't take ourselves too seriously in any of this too. So when we talk about we experiment and we play. That's so important, because personal development, we're developing our personal selves, right? And it already sounds like, oh, really? I got to do that? So I don't want it to feel like a drudge. I want it to be playful and experimental. And I want to get out there and see what works and understand what doesn't work. And I want to do it with people who want to freaking have fun too. That's why we gravitate toward comics and superhero movies and just cinematic adventuring as a whole. And we use that in what we talk about because it's freaking fun. So anybody who listens to this and tunes into us, we're focused on heart and living a life of love and having a lot of fun doing it. But we're also really dedicated to developing who we are as people and connecting in that way too. So all of it's good, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I love the word play, because how often have we been overly logical when we're playing, right? It becomes very heart-centered. It's such a natural way to almost get out of our head and get into our heart. And then we can use our imagination to enhance that experience. But I know whenever I've attempted to play and get too caught up in my head, then it just doesn't become fun. And so some of the fun is just letting go. And that's what I enjoy about the play aspect. So thank you for bringing that forward.
You're welcome. Although I like Spock. I mean, he has a playful side to him too. We're gonna bring in the logic side. Even though he's very logical, he also has a very playful side to him. So Okay, we went down a whole different rabbit hole. Thank you, everyone, for going down that rabbit hole with us. Getting back to nomophobia, again, we will put the article that got me down that rabbit hole in the notes, the show notes, so everyone can visit that. Speaking of which, we will also put in the show notes a whole lot of things that we have coming up. If you are interested, there are so many fun things that we are doing. Speaking of the fun that we love to have as a community through Wearables. So take a moment, go explore and see what might be fun for you on your personal development journey. And while you're here, don't forget, we have a ton of great episodes on the Heart Leader podcast. So if you like what we're doing, don't forget to give us a like and a follow. And then head on out and look at all the playlists we have and all of the other great episodes. Until next time.